And I think we're live. Good morning, everybody. My name is Heather DeSanto, and I'm the CEO and founder of DiSH Events. And I am super excited to be back on Friday for another What's Your Dish conversation, which is me inviting people that are in my world and I've yet to meet to join me to talk about their dish, which is the who, what, why, where, and how of how they show up in their life and business and what I like to call their business of life. And today I'm really excited to talk with Sonia. Sonia came to me as a referral through a mutual friend of ours. And I don't even think, and I'm going to ask you, Sonia, in a few minutes, how we know that. I know how I know her, but I don't know how you know her. And so this is the joy that I feel with having these conversations, is that as I continue to do them, there are people in my world that say, hey, I think you should have a conversation with this person. And so that's how this wonderful world is working these days for myself. And I'm super excited to be joined by Sonia Cruz Oro today. And this particular topic that we're going to get into lights me up, just based on my things that have gone on this year and just where I think a lot of people, I'll say, but specifically women, I find, and I don't know if it's, I'm going to ask Sonia about this, but Sonia is a travel coach, and I'm just going to pass it over to you, Sonia, and have you introduce yourself and share everybody what your dish is all about.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here, and hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Sonia. I'm a travel coach. I'm a certified travel coach, and I specialize in transformational travel. So I like to describe travel coaching as a combination or a mix between travel and personal development. So my clients are mostly women who are in their 40s plus, and they are going through some transition in their life or in their career. So they want to use travel as a kind of a rite of passage, as a, to close one chapter, to open a new chapter, but also to reconnect with who they are authentically, what they want to do with their life. So to use travel as a platform, as a catalyst, to pause, from this daily craziness and noise and distractions that we have in our life. Pause to give yourself the time and the space to see your life from a different perspective. So it's a combination of external exploration in the new destination, but also an internal exploration of who I really am and what I really want. So I help them before, during, and after their trip to prepare not only the logistics, but also the mindset, overcome any, issue or challenge they may have. During, if it's a long trip, maybe sabbatical, or some people want to explore, different countries for weeks or months. So something can happen. Even if they travel solo, I'm always there at the other side. And then after, when they come back home, this re-entry moment is also very important to, because these women have changed, have, growth somehow, and they go back home and the situation around them don't necessarily have changed. So how they can make sure they keep this motivation, this learning, this, growth, and they don't go back to where they were before. They are not drawn back to the old. So that's why I'm here.
It's so amazing. I now know. And so Shoshana Chaim was the woman that connected us. And so I'm just curious, I know her through 𝒒𝒐𝒏𝒈, but how are you connected with Shoshana? Because some people that watch will know who Shoshana is. So I think it's a real cool connection, because the other thing that I think is really very cool today is you're my first international conversation outside of Canada and the US. So, which I also find fascinating, because Shoshana is here and you are not here. And so how those connections work in this lovely world we're in. So I'd love to have that.
Yes, you will be surprised to know that I know Shoshana also through 𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒈. So I met her through 𝒂𝒂𝒐𝒏𝒈, and I am in the international chapter, but we meet once a week on Wednesdays, all the chapters together. So there is where I met her. So we had coffee chat, we have a lovely conversation. And I think this is, the networking is very important for me, not only for my business, but also personally. I'm a people person. I love people. I love meeting people. I love chatting and getting to know what people do, and especially women. So yeah, this is how we connected.
Yes, and everything that you just said speaks my language. So Shoshana is the perfect connector. And so now just by you explaining that, I'm like, oh, I totally get why she connected. In addition to the fact that she knows I love travel and she travels and all of the things as well. So you've had over 20 years of international coaching experience. What drew you to this particular line of work? Because coaching can go into so many different directions. So I'm just curious what brought you to this point.
Yes, that's a long story as well. So my background is not in travel at all. So my background is actually in the corporate world, and this is where I got my experience. I have a degree in psychology, and I study always, coaching, NLP. I'm master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming. So all this mindset work is part of my passion. And also I was using it in my career. So in the corporate world, I was working in a software company in the customer service department, managing a team of technicians, a team of people, so helping them to achieve their goals. But of course, it's not the same because they were like actually the company goals, right, that they had for their position. But that was my job, so motivating the team. And actually in the psychology degree, I specialized in psychology of organizations. So all this motivation and helping people to keep accountable and achieve their goals, it's always been there. And I'm originally from Spain. Maybe you notice for my accent, but I moved to Ireland nearly 10 years ago for a promotion. So I was growing this, ladder of the corporate world, and this is how I extended my career internationally, also to improve my English. So I had this, I applied for this promotion, and a couple of years after I moved here and I did 2 more promotions, I realized I didn't want to go for the next promotion. It was, my rational mind tells you sometimes this is the thing to do, but your heart doesn't agree. So I had this kind of internal dilemma. Because so the idea of success that I had is the idea that they teach us, that you need to always grow and go for the next promotion. And this is what I knew. And I never actually consciously stop and think, is this what I want to do? It was like the automatic pilot, next step, next step, next step. So for the first time I stopped and I said, okay, is this what I want to do? And the answer was no. But I didn't know what to do then, because all my life I did the same for these 20 years. So I said, okay, now that my career is not my priority because I basically don't know what to do, so I'm going to stop there. What are my passions, what I want to do? So travel was the answer there, that I didn't travel as much because I was prioritizing my career. So I said, okay, this year I'm going to travel. I don't going to go for next promotion. I'm going to, I knew I wanted to grow. It was not an option to stay where I was for the rest of my life, but I had no clarity about what. So I said, okay, I'm going to embrace my passion of travel and combined with my passion of personal development. I changed my life as a result, personally and professionally. And then doing research is when I discovered travel coaching, transformational travel. And I was like, this is it. So when I found it, I knew that was my purpose. So I just quit my job in the corporate world and I started my business.
Oh, that's amazing. And you make note of this. I looked at your website, which I'll allow you have you share that later on and whatnot. But you have a video on your website that I watched that really spoke to me, which I thought I'm very much paying attention to people's marketing these days for various reasons. And I really loved your video on your website because it was me like this time last year, actually a little bit earlier, but that idea of feeling lost to a certain degree, but not knowing which path and needing to find a space. You say something about like finding yourself through travel versus is different than finding yourself when you do journaling and whatnot on the couch type of thing. So if you can share a little bit of like the mindset around that for anybody that potentially is watching this and is feeling that desire, I guess, for lack of words, to like escape, but for a purpose. Does that make sense?
Yes, you describe it very well. So I think when people are in this situation of feeling lost, not knowing what to do, the intuition tells them to travel or just to, go away, right? And it can feel this, I'm trying to escape from my problems and I don't want to escape from my problems. So this is not a solution. So it's not exactly that. So the intuition is right and travel will help you. And I'm going to explain now my vision of it. but actually is the intention of that. So you're gonna make this count, make it intentional, or is actually escaping, and when you come back, you will face the problems, because this does not solve anything, right? So you have to be intentional, and that's why the travel coach is there to help you, because sometimes when you are inside, you cannot see clearly. You need an external view, an external, because the subjectiveness does not let you sometimes see things objectively, right? So you need another person from the outside to help you. So travel really will help you with that. So I see travel, two things, two components of travel that I don't see anything else that has. First of all, it puts you out of your comfort zone. So this is the only place we can grow. And the second one is that it frees you from expectations, which means that you are not your roles, your social roles that you have in your life. You are free from them when you travel, because nobody knows you, right? So you can be whoever you want to be, and you can explore part of your personality. So you are in a process of change, rediscovering yourself. By seeing yourself or your life or your culture or your background through the eyes of other people that are different, you will understand better the difference between who you are and who you were taught to be. What's your background, what your society or family or culture versus who you really are. Different things of doing, opening your mind to different ways of doing things, right? But again, this out of the comfort zone is very important, because when we are in our familiarity routine, we tend to repeat things and do the things like in the same way that we did the day before or the week before or the month before. So it's like secretly wanting things to change, but doing the same. This is the definition of madness, right? So how we can actually step away from this routine, that actually by repetition, what is happening is the mind goes into autopilot. So we create automatic programs. We are not actually making decisions. We are not conscious and present when we are in our routine, because we are in autopilot. 95% of the time, the research says, scientific research, that we are not present. So we think we make decisions, but it's actually our subconscious mind who's making the decisions on our behalf. We are thinking on other things while we do things around. So when you travel, you break that pattern, you break that autopilot, program, and you are present. That's the name of my business, is Travel Awakens. It comes from there. So travel awakens you because it keeps you present. It's like, oh, okay. Suddenly my brain that was sleeping, because it's like, okay, wake me up when something new happens. It's all day watching the same series, right? the same movie. I say, like, wake me up when something interesting happens. So you're traveling and it's like, okay, this is new. Now I have to pay attention. I have to be present. Okay, what happens? My routine changes. So all that helps you to this change that we want. Actually, the transformation is nothing else than lasting change. Some people get scared about the word transformation, because it's like, oh, do I need to quit my job and quit my, leave my family and become a monk? No, so it's not anything drastic, right? So it's like small changes in your routine, but over time, by repetition, will help you to making different decisions, become a different person, make different choices, which will translate in a different life, in a better life, if this is what you are looking for, to better yourself or become the best version you can be, or, sometimes it is some fears, or you want to be more confident, whatever it is that you want to change about you or your life. Travel gives you this clarity and gives you this confidence as well, this motivation to make it happen. But you need to go back home and do something about it. That's the difference. Yes. So you cannot say, oh, that was amazing, I go back to where I was before, because you will be back to the place you were, if you were stressed or whatever, right? So that's why also the coaching helps you to keep accountable to, okay, what happened, what you discovered, what you realized, and how you can use that to bring it back home and change your routine. Plan of action is needed. Taking action is needed to make sure you adjust and you don't go back to status quo. You do something different, so you get this transformation, this change that you are looking for.
Yeah, I can relate to so many things that you just shared, and specifically, and there's so many directions I want to take this in. So, but I'm going to take it in what the latter part of what you said, because, but people watching, and I think anybody that really knows me this year knows that I traveled earlier this year in May to Peru and hiked the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu. And what you were saying about taking yourself out of the routine and whatnot, for me, it was confidence. That because if you can do something extraordinary like that, that is what shifted for me first and foremost. So the mindset around that. But what I found interesting in relation to what you were sharing about the coaching when you come back, because I didn't, so just full transparency, it didn't work with Sonia on this particular trip. And when I came back, there were a couple of things, one of which you mentioned a while ago, is when you come back, how you're a different person. Like I came back like this empowered, nothing's going to get me down, confidence out the yin yang. And I still have kept that confidence. What has shifted a little bit, which is I find is very interesting, is that all the training and everything and the motivation to get up the mountain. And then I came back and I've got a little complacent with my exercise routine. And so I think it's interesting that to share that in my experience, I think having worked, if I were to say work with a travel coach, when I come back, you would keep me accountable to the exercise portion of it and the confidence as well. But that's where that accountability comes in, right? And I think that's a lot to be said. But I also, what I want to really ask you about to share, because this happened to me as well, is when you come back, and I went with a friend, my family stayed here. And when you come back as this different person that you talk about, how do you recommend people integrate their knowledge, their growth, all of that with the family that doesn't maybe sometimes recognize the person that came back because you've experienced this enlightening transformational experience?
Yes, that's a good question. So I think one of the first things you want to do when you come back from this life-changing trip is to tell everyone, right?
Yeah.
And people ask you already, they ask you as well how it went, right? So when you go so deep because they were not there, as you said, and you want to go deep in the life-changing, transformation that happened there, they don't really necessarily will understand.
Yeah.
So this will make you, you will feel like kind of a wall, or just it's not, and this will make you doubt, first of all, of what happened to you, if you are exaggerating, or also will make you feel not understood, So this high that you have will go down just because of that. And these people love you, right? But they don't need to understand. So I would say, if you, first, before you share this experience with other people, make sure, first of all, journal what happened to you, because by explaining, you also kind of change the story in your head. You change your memories, right? So you tend to do like a summary of, this happened, and then by repeating that, you kind of change that memory that you have. So make sure before you do that, journal what really happened to you. And this is a very personal and subjective experience. Don't need to anybody else share it or understand it. If it happened to you and you feel this shift inside, it's real, okay? So just journal it. I have to say here that some people tell me I don't like writing. So journal does not necessarily mean writing, okay? So the most normal and well-known way of journaling is just a diary, a travel diary, and that's great. And you can, if you love it, just write everything that's in your mind or in your heart, write it down. But it can be bullet points, it can be ideas, it can be scratches, like you can draw, it can be audio recording. If you want to, have audio recording, video recording. I also recommend, if you have a very good friend or somebody who will you really know they will understand you and listen without judging, or maybe was with you in the trip. So you can do like a Zoom call with them and record that call and tell them to ask you questions about what happened, and then you explain, and you have that recording as your journal as well, right? There are many ways that you can journal what happened and the internal process that happened in that trip before you share to people who don't necessarily will understand, or they are not so really interested in the depths, but just they want to know, yeah, the weather was good, the food was good, and I had a great time. And they just want to know that, right? So you by going deep is not helping either you or the other person. So I would say don't try to convince or get involved people who are not interested maybe in the depths of your experience. Find people who will listen, or just journal and have it for yourself before you start sharing with others.
Oh, I love that advice. I did none of that. And I was like, and that saying, like, I remember things like it was yesterday, but I won't probably 10 years from now, 20 years from now. So that's a really good point. And I resonate with you on the writing. I'm more of an audio journaler. And so that's really interesting. I'll think that. That said, the woman that I went with, we talk about it at length of how much we want to go back, which is going to feed into my next question and also share, because there's a couple other topics that I want to get in with you. And I'm going to go with so you take people through with your travel coaching, but you also personally go with, because you said sometimes you don't travel with people, but in a specific case, you do excursions or trips to the Camino de Santiago in Spain, which is on my bucket list big time. And so my question is in relation to my experience in Peru. So when we came back, we were like, we are going to take every woman we know back to Peru, and they're going to have the same awesome experience, and we're going to do all the things, and this, like, we were going to do it the next day kind of thing, which also has transformed for me in the mindset, because I had such an extraordinary experience that I really do feel it was so special that I don't want to replicate it. One, for the effort, because it was challenging for me, but also the experience. We had it was unique, obviously, because this was the first time we did it, but I wonder, and this is because you do the Camino quite often. And so my question is, for somebody like myself that's resisting going back and doing it again, what is your thoughts on that, and coach me through that kind of thing, I guess, because you would be doing the Camino on a regular basis. And yes, your experience is going to be different because you have different people, but I'm just curious on that mindset around replicating an experience, not to taint the previous one, obviously, but they're going to, like, I almost feel like there's so many places to go. Why would I go back and replicate? Why don't I just keep moving forward and doing different things? So I'd just be curious on your perspective.
Yeah, I suppose the first question I have for you is, why do you want to go back to the same place?
Oh, because, like, Peru is so sacred and beautiful, and I just felt at home there, truly. And with the caveat that I feel like I say that every time I go somewhere, which is my point. Like, I've been very, very blessed to be able to go to quite a few places. And every time I come back, I'm like, oh, I could live there. Oh, I want to go there, or whatever. But I don't. I just want to keep moving forward. So,
yeah. But with Peru, you want to go back?
I do, because I want to go back more retreat style than adventure style. I guess that's where I'm at.
To bring other women.
Yes.
To show other women the potential of that.
And there's a lot of people interested in it too. So it's that combination of, that's what I'm struggling with. I'm like, I want to serve and I want to take everybody, because so many people really loved hearing about our experience, all levels of what we've shared. And so want to go back. And then again, like, it won't be the same experience, but it'll be their experience. So yeah, I kind of want to be convinced to really dive back in. I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So look, if you want to go to that place because it was a place that's important and it was a place that was significant for you, and you're going to bring it to other women, right? So what's stopping you? Why you are not doing it?
There's a couple of things that, like, liability is one of them, to be honest with you. So from a business perspective, which you could probably talk about as well, right? Like, anybody can do it, I believe, because with those types of adventures, I believe, and again, it was my experience, it's mind over matter. Like, your mind gets you there, your body. Like, I am so, at the end of that, I remember just thanking my body so much, because I just, at some points, you just get into autopilot, and I had mantras and all the things. But yeah, I don't, and I think, and this is just who I am as a person, I think I would know what to anticipate, right? When I did it the first time, every time you took a corner, you're like, oh, there's more. But now I would know how far I am away or things like that. So I think I just have some resistance that I just need to get over. I think that's what it is. And just,
I don't think that's the real reason, but we can go deeper.
Okay.
But look, it's true. And when I have the experience with the Camino, and the physical challenge is a big component of out of your comfort zone, right? Because this is really challenging. And your body is like, what are you doing to me? You know, especially if you're not used to. And with the Camino, we walk like 23 kilometers a day. I cannot tell you in miles now, but it's a lot, right? Yeah. So every day doing that. So it's like half marathon every day, right? So it's like, why would you do that to me? But if you are able to push through this fear, the resistance, you know, and differentiate, and this is important because sometimes it's, yes, you need to listen to your body, but sometimes it's not actually a real physical problem, but it's your mind, the monkey mind, which saying, just give up, leave it, let it go. You don't need to do that, you know, just, it's too hard, just stop. So if you believe in that and you stop, you know, if you push through it, is what you see. At the other side of that, there is this freedom, there is this confidence, there is this like, I am able to do big things. I remember in my last Camino, one lady, and she was, you know, emotional. She was sharing with her two boys, teenagers, sons, that what she was doing. And she didn't quit any day. She walked all day, you know, for the whole week. And the children were just saying, Mom, you rock, you are amazing. And she felt so proud of herself. Like, I am able to do hard things and my boys are proud of me. So this was something new to her, you know, because you know how teenagers are and like, Mom, don't bother me and just, you're annoying me. And now they are just adoring her and saying, putting her on a pedestal, that you are amazing. Oh my God, I cannot believe you're doing that. So just that feeling and you know, it's just the way you see yourself after that. It's not just how others see you, it's how do you see yourself. It's about the self-image. You know, how do you feel that who you are? You are able, you are capable, you are brave, you have courage, you have, you know, confidence. So this changed totally the way you see yourself, and identity drives behavior. So if you see yourself capable of doing things, you will be able to take higher risks, you know, and of course the results will be consequence of that. So yeah, I think the physical challenge is important, and two different journeys are not the same. So if you think people, for example, another woman who came in my last Camino, she turned 80 years old this year. And she said, yeah, I mean, you know, so of course, health practitioner, everybody says you are able. I have nothing to say, just come. And I was thinking, because I usually tend to work kind of at the end with people who may need more my assistance. I was thinking in my mind before going that this will be one of the group in the no. Oh, no. You could not catch her up. You know, she was full in. She was, you know, not in the beginning, but in the middle. And I was walking with the people in the back and she was not there with me. So you never know. You cannot, you may be afraid of women not being able to do it. They will surprise you big time. So, and everybody's different. Every experience is different. And you said that you will be able to predict what's next. Don't think that necessarily. I've done the Camino many times. And sometimes it's like, you know, it seems like I'm not sure now if it's the next cafe is here or is in the other one. So it's not so clear to you, even if you do it many times. You pay attention to different things every time. So yeah, some things may feel familiar and you say, oh, I already been here. So it's not this wow of the first time. Maybe that may be true.
Yeah.
But don't think that you will be able to predict everything, because you know, I will always say, let the Camino surprise you, let Peru surprise you, and unfold these new things. And it can be like a small, you know, animal or a person or encounter or the weather. All this will change the landscape. Every trip is really unique. So that would not be a reason to stop. But I would like to explore further, because I think there is something else there that you're not saying, or maybe you're not aware of it. So yeah, and the liability, all that, you can have assistance, you know, to be compliant, and there is professionals that can help you with that. So there is some other blockage there, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I will give you that one, because I will also say that you have shifted my perspective a little bit just from what you had said. So I'm sure my friend Leah, who I've been talking about when we went to Peru with, she's going to watch this and go, yeah, Right? She really wants to go, and we have the connections. We have the ability to do what we're envisioning, and so it's very interesting. So anyways, we'll see what time comes or what happens in time. The other thing I'd love for you to share about, and this, I think I do want to explore this with you at some point, because and I'm not going to I'm going to say what the word is, what it is, and then just allow you to share what it is, because I don't want to butcher it, because I think it's so fascinating. And it's called, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, astrocartography. Is that how you say it? Correct. Please share what this amazing tool is. I just think it's fascinating.
Yes. There are different names. You can say astrocartography, astrogeography, locational astrology. Basically, what it is a methodology of astrology. It's the astrology of places, right? So I have clients, and this is how it started. So in the coaching process and, finding out the place they want to go and what they want to do, and in the initial sessions, the destination was something that most of the times the woman or the person was clear about it in terms of the country or, the area. But to be specific and to start booking, about cities or narrowing down, that was a little bit more of a challenge. So when I discovered this methodology of astrology that could help people to choose destinations that are, more intentionally based on the the energy of that place, if it's supportive or not supportive for them, based on the transformation they are seeking, that will, I start incorporating in my sessions, in my coaching packages, and the great results that happen, the feedback that I had led me to, now, a couple of years ago, I put this open for everybody. So now you can have a session only in astrocartography. So I have people who maybe want to come for a relocation. They are in a place that they know is not home for them, or they don't feel like at home, but they don't know where home is. So that would be a typical query that people ask me. So they don't need any travel coaching. They just book a session and I help them. The only thing I need is the birth chart, the birth details. Time, daytime, place. The time is very important. So this is something that many people tell me approximately. No, needs to be exact and accurate time, because a few minutes can make like miles of difference. So make sure it's the time of your birth certificate, or if you can, have the records of, or can call the hospital, or otherwise there is other ways to find it. There is also a rectification session with an astrologer that can help you to find the time. So there is always a solution, but make sure it's exact time. And from there, just I put it in the software, in the system, and we have the map of the world with the lines of the places that are more supportive or not supportive for you. So this is sometimes difficult to explain rationally, but it's very real when you are in the place, right? In your body. So maybe happened to you that you arrive to a place, you mentioned Peru, right? You arrive to a place and you don't know what happens or why, but you feel super connected with everything around you. And you feel like, I've been here before. This feels like home. And it's something weird, but it's real, right? Yep. So what it is, chances are you are under a supportive line. And the opposite is also true. You arrive to a place, maybe it's the first time, maybe nothing happened necessarily, but it's like, something is off here. I don't like this. It's like, let's move somewhere else, or, or maybe then things may start happen as well. So you may have some arguments if you travel with somebody and you have, so there is some consequences of being in a place that's not supportive as well. So that's what I help people to make decisions about destinations based on their birth chart, on the lines in their map, choose destinations, but also understand why some destinations may have chosen them, or they feel attracted to them. Right? That's another thing. So people that comes like, all my life, I felt so attracted to Japan and the Japanese culture and everything that's Japan, right? So what it is happening in that line? Maybe they never traveled there, but they love everything Japanese. So we look at there and we see why their soul is calling them to travel there, to experience what they have to experience. So they can prepare ahead of time. They can understand why they feel attracted, or why some places choose the person. For example, when I moved here to Ireland, my intention was actually work in an English-speaking country, but I was applying for jobs in the UK. So it was Ireland that came out of nowhere, right? So then you can understand why the place chooses you in that moment of your life and the reasons. So when you see the chart, it makes all more sense.
That's so interesting. And when we spoke a little while back, that's what I was, because I didn't choose Peru, but my friend, again, we're talking a lot about Leah here, but it was her dream to go to Peru since she had been 9 years old. And so I think it would be really fascinating for her to look at her chart to see if like that was meant to be, or what that was drawing her. Like she had one particular thing, it was based on a National Geographic, but at the end of the day it would be really interesting. And then given what I've shared with you about our forward travels, she's my adventure buddy, so we're trying to figure out where the next spot is. And so it'd be interesting to see what hers says, what mine says, and then like to be able to figure out if there's commonalities or all the things. I just think it's so fascinating. And I think what I find interesting in it, because it's the same, requiring those birth information is not unique to astrocartography. It's needed for like human design and all of these things. And I think through conversations I've had, people have been like, they want to explore this stuff, but like I've had friends that have said they've been adopted and things, which I didn't think about at the time. So finding that, thank you for sharing where people can explore what that, it's the time I think that a lot of people have the trickiness with. But anyways, I think that's, if it's something that you have all that information and you are feeling the travel, I think it would be something definitely to explore with Sonia.
Yes, if anything else fails, the rectification session will tell you the time. And you mentioned something interesting, because if you want to explore a destination as with your business partner or your partner, romantic partner, or your family, so it's different if you do the reading individually or you do as a couple or as a group or as a family. There is this composite chart that it will be different if you go on your own. The experience may have been different if you go on your own than if you go with somebody else. And the same with relocation. So if you're moving to some place, I always ask, are you moving on your own, or there is other people moving with you? Because that place may be good for you, but not for your husband or your wife or your children, right? So we need to see it as an entity to see where is the best place for this entity, this group of people or this couple to travel, to relocate, or to work.
So are you saying that in Leah, in my case, you would put both of our birth information in and see, and it would bring it? Wow, isn't that neat?
We're gonna do this together? Yes.
Huh. Well, isn't that neat? Okay.
And then you can look at individually, right? So you look individually, and then you look as a group, as an entity.
Oh, I think that's fascinating. Even as families, like a few years ago, we did Sweden and Greece. And if I think back to some of the experiences, I bet you that there was some misalignment for some of us, depending. Oh, that's so fascinating.
Yes, and that's why do you love this place so much and the other person doesn't like, right? So you can know this in advance.
Oh, that's so interesting. But I think for me, travel is just like, I think it's the out of routine that I really love, and exploring and seeing. And again, back to wanting to do different experiences, like the Camino in Spain is on my list, because I've had friends that have done it and had extraordinary experiences, but it's just something for me that I truly feel called to do it. But anyways, for another day. Okay, so we are going to bump into the time where I bring out the tools that I use in my business. And I know that Sonia is all about perspective. She's mentioned the word a few times. And so these tools that I use, called points of view, they're all about using perspective. And so practitioners like myself, we do they are coaching tools. So it's interesting, Sonia. I think it would be interesting to do a process with you sometime to see if there's any connections for your business. Because when you said earlier about taking action, these tools bring that out through a process, because they are coaching tools. And that's what we all want to do. If we're going to do self-work, we want to be able to see the progress of that, right? But for the purpose of this today, what I do is I asked my guests if they'd like to give their perspective on a word that I will choose at random, or a question. And so, Sonia, what are you feeling today?
Oh my gosh. Okay. In a word or in a question? Let's go for a question.
A question? Okay, so there's 33 cards here that I'm shuffling, and we're just going to see one pops out. And again, it may seem, I don't know what question will come up, and it may seem quite random, because it's not in like a full process. But oh, well, this is really interesting, because this is personal. I love this one. So the question is, what opportunities are knocking on my door?
I love the question. I love the question because, sometimes we tend to focus on what's not working well or what I'm still, in my to-do list. It's like I have to do all this work and this didn't work the way I wanted. And we tend to focus in the things that are going wrong. But it helps you this question to focus on what are the opportunities, even if a door closes, windows open, right? So what new opportunities are on the table that maybe you didn't activate yet? And it opens, it's an open question, right? So it makes your brain to go for, okay, like bling, 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 kind of bulb moments. Okay, maybe I can pull this thread, or I can make this call, or I can send this email that I didn't have time yet to do, and I will do it later. So no, this is an opportunity I want to activate, and who knows? I love this book that says, The Surrender Experiment is the title. So I don't know if you read it, but I recommend The Surrender Experiment. So it's about saying yes to the opportunities that come to you, right?
Yes.
Saying yes to the opportunities without saying, oh, okay, I'm not sure about it. Just if it's coming, it's knocking your door, say yes to it. You never know what the universe is trying to, put you in some direction that maybe you didn't think about. So usually are the best, situations that you may see in your life and your career come from opportunities that come super random, that you would never imagine or you would never activate voluntarily, but just saying yes to them and accepting them, it brings to places that are really magical.
Oh, I love that answer. And it's so, so true about what you were talking about being present. I had earlier this week this epiphany, and it sounds weird to say, but it was just through a course of events, and it was around the fact that we always, like in a lot of conversations, we talk about what's going to happen in the future. In particular, I was watching something about a hockey player in Canada here, and they were talking about what his career is going to look like in 20 years. Well, if anybody that knows hockey, like he could go out, like heaven forbid, but he could go out and get hurt and his career be finished. And so we're always looking in advance. And then so in that moment, I was like, that's what we do all the time. We're always projecting of things. And so when you were saying about opportunities knocking at your door, like, again, this is going to get existential, but like everything's is already kind of pre-planned type of thing. And so when you were saying about things come to you for a reason, and many of us, I'm guilty of it. I think we're all of like, oh, it's out of the comfort zone. It's like, nope, I don't like, nope. However,
it's not what I do, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's coming to you for a reason. I feel this way about events. When people register for events and then the day comes and they're not feeling it. In my opinion, the reason why you were attracted to that event in the first place is because it started, whatever opportunities started here. So follow through and go to the event to find out what that is. And you may not know at the time what that is, and it'll come to you. This is a topic on its own. So I appreciate your perspective on it. And I think it's pretty fascinating. And so then the next question that I have for you is, because our meeting here is called What's Your Dish? So I always ask my guests what their favorite dish is. And so I'm very curious because you're in Ireland and you're from Spain, and so I'm very curious. And it doesn't be like
food, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I always say my mom cooks cannelloni when it's a big day. Like we have in the place I'm from in Spain, from Catalonia, is very influenced by Italian cuisine. So she cooks cannelloni in a way that's very particular of her, that mom's food is the best. But she does it not only for the food itself, but she does it in special occasions. Like if it's a birthday or if it's Christmas or if it's, a big day. So since I was a child, I always associated, the cannelloni with a big moment, all the family around the table. And of course, it's delicious. So I would say that.
Oh, my mouth is watering right now. I love cannelloni. Is it a meat stuffing or is it a veggie stuffing?
With meat, yes.
Meat? Meat. Oh, yeah. Come to Canada and bring us some.
You're welcome to come. She will be delighted to cook for you.
Actually, maybe I'll go, if we're talking about travel, maybe I'll go the other way. Forget that. I'm going to go to you. That's amazing. So we're going to wrap it up here. And I'm just going to give you the opportunity, Sonia, to share. You mentioned earlier about your business being called Travel Awakens. And so I'd love you to share. You have some freebies on your website. Share your website name, but also the best places to find you, follow you, for more information about what you do. We didn't get into the other thing that I noticed on your website, and I had forgotten that we didn't really get at length in this. So I'm just going to plant the seed for another conversation, or again, if this piques somebody's interest. You're also into forest bathing. So I think that is quite amazing as well. So, but yeah, if you could share all the places for people to find you, or the best places, I guess, is the best thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Heather. So my website, travelawakens.com, and I am on social media. Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn are my three big ones. But I think, yeah, by email would be the best way to reach out to me, or through social media as well. So my email is sonia@travelawakens.com. And on my website, you can find freebies, as you mentioned, if you're interested in astrocartography. I have one about destinations. If you want to do, the travel coaching, I have a journal as well, how to, set intentions before your trip. So you can explore there. I have lots of options there. You can download them for free. And of course, you can subscribe to my newsletter, and I will be delighted to be in touch.
Amazing. And just on the last, because this is obviously of interest to me, but also perhaps somebody that's watching, you are doing a trip of the Camino in 2025, correct? Is that sold out? Where are you at with that?
We are about to close registration soon, but this is happening in May. And I have another one coming in October. So these are the ones that I travel with, because I have also Caminos in Spanish and I have Caminos in English. So that's in Spanish, I have these two, one in May, one in October. And then I have several in Spanish during the summer. So always with groups. But if you want to do it solo, I also can organize the logistics and the coaching for you personally as an individual, or your private group as well.
Amazing. So sorry, let me so I hear that for myself. So the May and the October are in Spanish, and then in the summer are English ones?
The opposite. So the May and October are in English. And the rest during the summer, I have lots like in Spanish.
Interesting. So and this is another question for you. So Leah, who I keep talking about, so this is the Leah, Sonia, and Heather episode. She speaks Spanish, but I don't. Aided us in Peru. So that was a whole thing in as well. And that could take us on a whole other conversation. If we were to say, choose to do it in the summertime, and it was Spanish only, but I don't speak Spanish, like I might dabble with some travel stuff. Like, will my experience be tainted, or would it be different? What would that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I have actually people. I am in Ireland, I'm based in Ireland, so I have people here in Ireland that are not Spanish, but they are learning, or, they have some basic knowledge about Spanish. So instead of practicing with Duolingo, they said, why no? I go to Camino de Santiago. I have an immersive experience for 1 week, speaking Spanish, listening Spanish, different accents, because the group is all in Spanish, and there are people local, national from Spain. So I meet friends, I have a very authentic experience in Spanish. Of course, if you understand nothing at all, you will not be able to engage with other participants. But I have to say, many of them speak English as well. So even if everything is going to be guided in Spanish, the guide always speaks English. Participants will speak English as well, some of them. And of course, outside the group, you will meet lots of pilgrims from everywhere in the world that will also speak English. So you will have opportunities within the group and outside the group, like the same if you were on your own. But yes, it's more thinking about people who speak, even if it's a little bit of Spanish, to practice, to improve, and to be immersive in the language and in the culture.
I think that's a huge experience just in itself. Like, I almost want to do that, to be honest with you, right? Because that's the whole thing. Like, I have learned French in the past, I've learned languages in the past, but if you're not immersed in it, if you're not living it, you lose it. And so I think that would be really, really cool for somebody that is learning or has a desire to learn, to immerse themselves, plus have this extraordinary experience.
100%. So in 1 week, speaking, thinking, feeling, eating, everything in Spanish.
So thanks for planting that seed for me. I appreciate that. Oh my goodness.
Welcome.
Oh, Sonia, this has been so exciting. I'm just so grateful to have you with me today. I think we've only chatted, this is our second time chatting, and I think there says a lot to that. So again, full circle back to Shoshana about connections and networking, and you don't have to be in the same country to have true connections and really get to know and appreciate what people do in their life and their business. And so thank you so very much for joining me today and sharing your knowledge and expertise. And I would say that anybody watching this, if you are feeling like travel and is in your future, you have this desire but not quite sure where to go, what you're feeling about it, I highly recommend reaching out to Sonia. I know that you will have an extraordinary experience, and she, as you can tell just in this hour, very down to earth and easy to talk to. And so I appreciate you, Sonia, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Heather. My pleasure. I absolutely enjoy the chat, the conversation, and thanks for inviting me again.
Oh, you're very welcome. If anybody is watching and would like to be a guest, please reach out to me. My email is heather@dishevents.ca. We do this most Fridays at 10 a.m. and I love it. And I would love to chat with you. So please reach out if this is of interest. And so we're going to sign off for now and say, have a wonderful Friday, an awesome weekend, and hope to see you soon. Take care.